going on, Reset Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Operation Self Reset. I am Jacob Naraki, and I am here to inspire, motivate, and get yourself one step closer to a full-on reset. That is right. We're not just going to touch that reset button lightly. We're going to press it hard, and we're going to do it right. And with that being said, this is brought to you by Podcasting on the Go. I'm still currently up in Upper Wisconsin, Door County actually, enjoying the 4th of July week. Myself, my family, and my sisters, along with their families, have come up to my parents' cottage, and we're hanging out. Great time, great weather. And this is not the usual high-quality podcast, but nonetheless, it's a podcast to get yourself in the right mindset for your life. With that being said, today's podcast is all about a power note. A power note? What the heck does that have to do with my life? Well, I just finished a book called 7 Levels of Communication by Michael J. Maher, and he is our guest for today. And within that book, he gives away 108 tips on improving relationships and improving referrals. Now, you might be not in the business of referrals. You might not be selling anything, but I truly believe every single person that is listening right now can benefit from this podcast because we're talking about power notes. These are notes that you send out to people of gratitude, of connecting with them, and building a deeper connection with them. Michael goes into deep detail on how to set it up and the benefits of writing these notes. I really believe in it, and there's already a couple of people that I have in mind to send these notes to because I think it's so powerful. So let's dive into today's interview. I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks again for everything you have done for me to allow myself to continue to inspire yourself. And I wish you and your family nothing but the best. And I don't know why I'm saying that now, but I guess I'm just giving a little gratitude to you, the listener. Without you, I would probably not be doing this day in and day out. So thank you so much for everything you guys have done for me. And I hope I'm just giving you guys the information you need to carry on your lives. So here you go. Enjoy the interview with Michael J. Maher from the 7 Levels of Communication. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today we have on Michael J. Maher. He is the international bestseller of the 7 Levels of Communication, go from relationships to referrals. And you might be thinking to yourself, referrals? I'm not in the real estate market. I'm not even employed. Well, it doesn't matter who you are because the ideas and concepts that Michael has kind of brought up in this book can truly help transform your life. Michael, thank you so much for joining us.
Wow, man, I'll tell you what, it's an honor and a privilege to be on. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I just finished your book. I really enjoyed a lot of the principles, and of course there are 7 levels of communication. We're not going to dive into all of them today because I really want to harness in on some of the main concepts that I really took away from this book. Being a person that is trying to reach out to my listeners right now in helping them rebuild their life, transform their life. This is called Operation Self Reset, changing the person you are to the person you want to become. And let's start to changing to the person we want to become. I'm a big speaker on gratitude and everything like that. And one of the concepts you talk about very heavily in this book is sending these power letters. And do you mind starting there into our conversation?
Oh, I'd love to. So the power notes, right?
Yes.
It's bottom line is sending handwritten notes is almost a lost art, unfortunately. And what's interesting about that is, a handwritten note can be the most powerful marketing piece that goes out of a business every single day. But there's more power to it is that what we do with the 7 steps to a power note is we actually have taken all the best of direct response, of appreciation marketing, of calls to action, of marketing, and so on and so forth, and put them into one very powerful note that gets a response. Because that's what you want with a handwritten note is you are expressing appreciation, but there's power in them calling as soon as they get that note because, they're going to be in a good mood. They're going to be in a great mood, and the best thing you can do is be around when another person's in a good mood.
Right.
Right. So that's what the power note does. The 7 steps to a power note are very simple. I can even give them to your listeners if you want very quickly.
Sure. Break it down. Yeah.
Yeah, so the 7 steps to a power note, and I'm doing this off memory. So if I get them out of word, read the book,
Yeah,
right?
right. There you go.
So number one is use unbranded cards. That's one of the very first things that surprises a lot of business owners is they want to slap their logo on the front of everything, and especially their note cards. And what we have to realize is that people do business with people, and they are more in tune with an unbranded but representative card. And what we mean by that is what is a symbol for you as a human being? What is a picture that you love? And some examples that people have done. Like my example is lighthouses. My note cards have lighthouses on the front. A lighthouse is it's a brilliant example of how I want to live my life. Is I stand strong and tall. I let my light shine, and that light is going to be used and attractive for certain. But I'm not going to run up and down the beach saying "use me, use me." Lighthouses don't do that, and neither do I. So that's an example. I have also had clients who have used their children's artwork on the front of the note card, which is a win-win-win. It's a win for the recipient because they feel they're almost a part of your family. It's a win for your child because you're edifying them. It's also a win for you because if your child's artwork is on the front of a note card, you're going to write more of them. And so you want unbranded but representative cards. Number two, you want to use blue ink. Blue ink means real, authentic, original, and so we want that. Those are characteristics we want to portray. We need to be real. We need to be authentic. We need to be original. And so also blue ink is the most favorite color in the world. More people choose blue than any other color. Also, blue is calming, and also blue is the color of loyalty, right? True blue. All of those are positives and make sense to use blue. The third thing is you want to be specific with your praise. There's nothing worse than getting a note and you open it up and it says thank you and it's signed and then 3 business cards fall out of it, right? It just says thank you. And it's like, thank you for what? Right. So be specific, with your praise. What exactly are you thanking them for? Number 4 is you want to use the word you as much as possible in the note and avoid words like I, me, and my.
Right.
This note is about them. So focus on them. And here's a challenge for your listeners is try to write your next handwritten note without using the word I, the word me, or the word my. And that's a fun challenge.
Yeah.
You
interrupted.
5,
yeah, go on. Go on. No, I'll say that then. Go on.
It's your show, Jacob. You can do anything you want.
You're in the zone. You're in the flow with it. I don't want to ruin something good here. But I was just going to say that I was actually writing a thank you note to a good friend of mine, and it was funny how I when I got finished reading your book, I dove into writing this note, and it was really even just a general thank you. I kept on wanting to refer to when I was with you, or you know what I mean. It was just really tough to pull away from those things, and I can imagine how many times people don't input the I and me into these notes and don't even realize it. So doing that truly, like you said, it's a challenge. It really is. Give it a try. It's harder than you think.
That's awesome, and kudos to you for implementation, and that you're inspiring your listeners by being that way, to be implementers themselves. And,
right.
And that's the fastest way out of anything, right?
Right.
The fastest way out is to implement. So anyway, so number 5 is the power of positive projection. And there's negative projection, which is when we assign negative characteristics to others or point out negatives of others to make ourselves feel better. Right? Somebody's overweight. We notice it, maybe even make a comment, and that's called negative projection. And when we do that, it really shows our insecurity, and it shows that we are embarrassed or insecure about idiosyncrasies that we have. right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's negative projection. And interestingly enough, is the more you notice that type of stuff, the more you're pulled towards the negative. You're pulled to have poor eating habits if you notice heavy set people or that type of thing. And the opposite is also true. It's called positive projection, which is when you notice the greatness in others, you are pulled towards greatness.
Right.
And an example, I am a product of this. I am a product of writing handwritten notes about a certain characteristic or trait that I want to improve, and then me becoming an incredible person with regard to that characteristics. And the characteristic is organization. I started out in business, and I was very poorly organized. I was disorganized, and most people would say very unorganized. And I knew that the difference between me taking my life and business to the next level was getting organized. So what I did is I started writing handwritten notes to the most organized people I knew, and just acknowledging their organizational skills and noticing the little things they did to be organized. I'll get one great example is they have a place for everything. The key to being organized is having a place for everything. Why does a pile up on your desk? It's because you don't have a place for those things. So if you have a place for those things, which, by the way, the trash can is one of the best places, but overall, if you have a place for everything, you're going to be. So the bottom line is, most people would call me OCD, very systems oriented and very organized at this point in my life. And that is over the years of writing handwritten notes to acknowledge the characteristics that I would most like to improve in myself. That is huge for your listeners, because who knew that a handwritten note written to someone else that they are going to love and feel warm and welcome because you wrote it could also be a self-improvement device. And that's the power of handwritten notes. So number 6, by the way, just real quick, number 6 is you should write rightly, which means when you write your notes, the slope of your writing should go from lower left to upper right. And the flow of your note should go like you want the growth in your life to go, right? You don't want a flat line. You don't want a down line. You want an up line. Right. So a smooth up and to the right flow to your, not to the letters, but actually to the lines of what you're writing will give it a more positive and optimistic feel. And they did a lot of research on successful people, and they naturally write their notes flowing up and to the right.
Interesting.
The last one is number 7, and that is the power of the PS. Always have a PS, and not only should you have a PS, you should write the PS first at the bottom of the note, and you should make the PS your call to action. So what do you want them to do when they read that note? One of the most powerful ones is had an idea, period, give me a call, period, and then your phone number.
Interesting.
And that is a power note.
Yeah, and the reason why I brought this up first, before even diving into who you are, your background, and all that stuff, is because I think that this is a game changer. Because like you said, I mean, getting a handwritten note is very powerful. And we've all been to numerous weddings, we've all received thank yous, and a lot of times, and even myself, I was married 3 years ago. Sometimes I was just saying a generic thank you for your gift of money or your pots and pans, whatever you gave me. But, looking back, reflecting after reading this power note and hearing it again from you, it really identifies that I should have made them really hit home with these people that I was reaching out to. Just show a little more emotion. Write it with a couple of the concepts that you suggested. Now, what do you feel, though, for the person that's listening to this and going, Jake, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not in the referral business. I work a traditional 9-to-5 job at Office Depot. How can this help me? What do you say to those type of people?
Well, yeah, relationships are everything, right? Relationships are everything in life. There's going to come a time in your life when you're going to have a need, you're going to have a want, and a lot of times, well, I'll rely on myself or whatever it may be. But you have to realize that just like a Sherpa on a mountain, having the Sherpa is going to allow you to solve that problem faster, safer, and probably with a whole lot more smiles on your face. So the bottom line is the best time to build relationships that you need is 10 years ago. The
Yeah.
second best time is today. So doing that right now is, I mean, here's the deal, right? I mean, Jacob, this goes back to the greatest generation, right? The World War II crew. You know, they were taught to write a handwritten note for everything. You know, Ronald Reagan was called the great communicator. That was his nickname. He wrote a handwritten note every single day, and there are thousands of people who have Ronald Reagan handwritten notes.
Yeah.
He wrote handwritten notes as a course of his day. The other thing too is, listen, there's really one thing about life, right? It's growth. You're either green and growing or red and ripe. And if you're ripe, you're on the way out, right?
Yeah, right.
So the thing is you have to realize that writing a handwritten note is not only something that makes that other person feel great, but it's actually a self-improvement tool to help you grow. So why wouldn't you do it? And I have to tell you, it does make a difference between typing an email or even typing a handwritten note that is sent out from some manufacturer, right?
Right.
Writing the handwritten note is when you write on a piece of paper, you are actually carving pathways in your brain, according to brain research. So it's actually the act of doing that in the act of writing is actually learning. You are learning.
Yeah. Yeah. Where did you get this concept of the power letter? Did somebody, did you always know about it and it's just something you finally decided to dial in? Where did this notion come from?
Yeah. So you know what? I'm into mastery, right? My word for my life is mastery. And in fact, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm in Cobb County, and my license plate is mastery, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to master it. And I was writing handwritten notes, and I just kept doing them better. What would be the ultimate handwritten note is what started my thinking on this. And everything of the 7 steps is heavily researched. If you'll find one thing about me is I'm a research junkie. I mean, I was reading research at 4 o'clock this morning. Where the blue ink came from tons of research on what gets results and what works in marketing, right? Mm-hmm. The power of the PS is from direct response background. I have an MBA in marketing and communication, and the writing your handwritten notes sloping upwards is from a great book by Vimela Rogers called "Your Handwriting Can Change Your Life." You can read the book, that's great, but I just told you the best part of the book.
Thanks.
So.
Nice. And what have you found from this? Has your business grown 5x, 10x? Where have you seen the huge growth when you started to perfect this personal note?
Yeah. So what I noticed is that I was getting into flow faster. There's a relationship scale that we need to just briefly talk about is, we have professional relationships, right? Let's just call them professional. So,
yeah.
So they go from 0 to 10, and 0 is someone we've never met. 1 through 3 is just no chemistry, right? It just doesn't work. 4 through 7 is friendly and cordial. Like a 4 on the relationship scale would be somebody you can spend like 3 minutes with, right? A 5 would be somebody you can spend 3 hours with. A 6 would be somebody that you can spend a weekend with, like 3 days, right? And then a 7's like a best friend. That's somebody you could go away, 3 weeks with and have a ball and not want to kill them by the end of the 3 weeks. An 8 is a client, right? Somebody who has entrusted you with money, somebody who is a customer. And then a 9 is a champion. A 9 is someone who's ever referred you or your business. And then a 10 relationship is an ambassador, right? I mean, the highest form of relationship. It is somebody who speaks highly of you and refers you willingly and often. You know, they're giving you multiple referrals a year. It's a great relationship. But Jacob, the problem is too many people build their relationships based on heredity, right? Based on our whole thought of, you know, back in the day, right? Let's talk 10,000 BC.
Sure.
10,000 BC, somebody topped a hill, right? You saw a silhouette on the horizon. You know, you had two thoughts, right? What were those two thoughts? You couldn't tell who it was. So what did you have to determine as soon as possible?
Who that person was and what are they doing here?
That's right. And friend or foe.
Right.
Right? Friend or foe. So if it was a foe, you need to go tell the tribe and you needed to arm up. If it was a friend, you would go out, help them with their load and help them into the community.
Right.
Well, we do the same thing, right? We build our relationships up to a 1 through 3, no chemistry, or 4 through 7, which is, you know, different levels of friendship. And the thing about that is those are not what I would call harmonic relationships. They're called homeostatic relationships. In a business setting, one of the reasons people don't get referrals is because their relationships are built up to a 1 through 3 or 4 through 7 level. There's no energy there. You know, we know that they're a good friend. It's not going to change. You know, it's not going to go from, gosh, they're really nice to let's get married, right? So the thing is we need to build our relationships into the 9 and 10 zone where there's action, there's passion, there's power, right? There's exchange, there's value exchange, there's activity, and that relationship vibrates at a very high frequency. It's got a lot of energy to it.
Yes.
Well, what's funny is something as simple as a handwritten note can take a 0 to 7 relationship to a 9 or 10 relationship.
Interesting. And that's just because of the things that you broke down for us in that note, especially the PS, contact me, here's my phone number. They're going to call me back and we're going to start to build our relationship on a deeper level because of the things that I'm going to be putting in this letter to this gentleman or woman.
That's right. What it does is who sends you, look at the last 3 handwritten, all of your listeners, look at the last 3 handwritten notes you got, right? You look at those and it's like, what do you think about those 3 people? You know, you think, wow, they thought about me, they care about me, and they took the time and effort and thought to put pen to paper in a day of age of digital communication and wrote me a handwritten note. That puts them on a different level with you. Well, guess what? The way to put yourself on a different level with others is as simple as a handwritten note.
Yeah, that's a lot. You know, and we've been speaking 20 minutes on this concept, but I believe in it because I really feel, and it kind of opened my eyes up to a different avenue and to build that relationship. So I want to throw this at you. I'm thinking about this right now. I send out this letter. It's very powerful. Michael, I send this to you. I talk about how awesome you are, how great you of a guest you were, the value you brought to my podcast. And I say, P.S., let's reconnect. I'm going to be in Atlanta, whatever. When I see you and I meet with you and it's that uncomfortable stage because I kind of know you. We talked for about an hour, half an hour on this podcast. We had a great conversation. There was a principle that you brought up in the book, the frog principle of continuing a conversation. Do you feel the frog principle is needed to really hone in that 9 and 10 relationship during this building process?
Yeah, so 2 things, right? The fortune is in the follow-up in relationships, right? The fortune is in the follow-up. The number one piece for follow-up is a handwritten note. So let's say, Jacob, we do this podcast, this interview, and then you don't follow up, right? There's nothing, right? So then you, out of the blue, you call me from, and you're saying, hey, I'm in Atlanta. Let's get together, right?
Yeah.
So I might get together with you,
Right.
right?
Right.
But the second thing is let's say you really needed some help in Atlanta, and you needed my help, right? Fill in a room or getting in front of a certain person, right?
Right.
Well, I would. How would I feel about getting you in front of that person if you hadn't written the handwritten note? And maybe I do it based on trust or my hope in humanity, right? Okay, so let's just change it 1 degree, right? 1 degree, not 360 degrees, not 180 degrees.
Right.
1 degree. Let's say you do this podcast, you write me a handwritten note. I open it up. It's like you are a follow-up boss, right? You are the follow-up king. So here's two things. Let's say you come to Atlanta. Would I get together? Absolutely.
Right.
Here's the other thing: is if you needed a connection to a person, would I connect you to that person? Yes, right?
Yeah.
Because you're appreciative. You appreciate me. You appreciate what I've done. So I'm more likely to do things for you because I'm appreciative, right? I mean, I'm sure the listeners know, and you've probably experienced this too, is have you ever done something for someone that you kind of thought it was a pretty good, you cut time out of your schedule or you made something happen and they weren't appreciative at all. Have you ever had that experience?
Oh yeah, I can think of a couple.
So let me ask you this: is how likely are you to do something else for that person?
It would really, I would have to almost tell myself I need to do it because it would not
Yeah.
feel that good. I wouldn't feel rewarded after completing that task.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: have you ever done something that was just part of your job? Right? It's just part of who you are. You just thought it was just like you being you,
Right.
and yet this person was just so appreciative. They were genuinely, sincerely appreciative for what you did, and they showed it and verbally let you know that. Right? Have you
Yeah.
ever had that happen?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. So
Feels
how
good.
likely are you to do something for that person?
Oh, 10 times more than the previous example.
You will run through a brick wall,
Right.
right? You will run, and see, you have to realize that the reason we get into certain places in our life is because of a lack of appreciation, right? You can't get what you want because you're thinking about what you don't have, right?
Right.
And that's the power of a handwritten note, is expressing that appreciation is the difference between somebody doing something for you or not, right?
Right.
And that's called influence. Influence is getting what you want. That's what influence is, right? Now, the best kind of influence is getting what you want while also helping them get what they want, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think that's so the handwritten note cannot be under. And by the way, every November we do Note-vember instead of November.
Awesome.
And yeah, Note-vember is 30 days of writing a handwritten note, and we have the 30-day challenge in Note-vember, and so I know that this is not airing during that time, but I have to tell you is Note-vember.com would be a great place for people just to kind of jot down. There are some really exciting things that we're doing with handwritten notes in November.
Sure.
So Frog, I just want you to know the reason that we ask Frog, which is asking questions of them about their family, that's the F, recreation, that's the R, occupation, what they do for work, is the O, and then G is goals, is the power of asking about their goals is you find out how to help them, right? Once you know somebody else's goal, you can help them achieve that goal. And just so you know, is when you help someone else achieve their goal, they're 100 times more likely to help you achieve your goal, which is, once again, getting what you want, right?
Right.
So you ask the questions of Frog specifically to write your handwritten note, right? You can reference things about their family, things about their interests, their golf game or whatever it may be, things about their work, congratulations on whatever, and their goals in your handwritten note that shows you listened, right? And that's how everything is a personal relationship. I think that's there are no such thing as professional relationships or business relationships. They're all personal relationships.
Right. And the thing about this frog principle is really awesome because I think, now I'm traveling, I'm speaking at different locations, and I love talking to the person next to me at the airplane, and there's nothing better than to really hone in the skills of getting to know somebody, because you're going to be sitting with that person for the next 3 hours. And I love the frog principle because it allows a nice introduction into questions that everybody knows how to answer. It kind of smooths your way into a nice transition into potentially deeper conversations. The one idea that I have an issue with is goals. How do I ask the person, like, what are your goals? How do I circle in that question without being, to the point, and hey, what's your ultimate goal here? That's the one I'm struggling with personally. If you could help me out with that one.
Well, I have to tell you, I'm glad you asked because it's the most important question of all of them.
Right.
So the first thing is well, let me ask you this. So what are your goals with your podcast?
Well,
what do you want to do with this?
My goal from this podcast is to start my platform to become a motivational speaker. That's why I started the podcast. That's why I'm talking to individuals like yourself to get different ideas, different aspects, and along the way help the listeners become better as an individual, build that self-belief, build that confidence, so they can go out and become the best person that they want to become. In the process, I'm chasing after my dream of becoming a professional motivational speaker.
So you can help us out more. So you want to help people here, so you can help more people later.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
So here's a suggestion for everybody that listen to this. Right. First of all, I have 50,000 plus fans on Facebook, or likes on my Facebook site, which is
right.
Facebook.com/referral guru. First of all, I'm going to post that on there for you.
Yeah.
And I just want you to know that's a very active 50,000. We have one picture that was posted a couple of weeks ago, has over almost 20,000 shares.
Wow.
Right?
Nice.
So it's a very engaged community. It's the generosity generation. They're the greatest people on earth. So I'm going to post it there for sure. But I'm going to challenge your listeners to do something for Jacob here. Is how many of you've learned something or you've been reminded of something that gave you value, right? And everybody has their hand up right now. So here's the thing: is who is one person that would be helped or encouraged or just needs to listen to a part of this interview? Do me a favor right now, right? Write that person's name down. When this podcast is over, do me a favor and email or Facebook or Twitter, if you're onto that, this interview to this person. Right? You're not going to take any responsibility beyond just getting it to them, right? Whatever they do with it from there is on them, not you. But how many of you listeners are willing to commit to just helping one other colleague by giving them this interview? Yeah, I would guess every single one.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
I would hope so.
So here's the thing: is for the last 30 seconds to 3 minutes, did I help you?
Yes, you did. Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, huge.
Could I have helped you in that way if I had not asked you what are your goals?
True. Yeah, you would not have. Right.
I didn't know what your goals were. Right.
Right.
You could have had a membership site where this podcast is part of a private membership. Right.
Right. Very true.
Goal could have been completely different. Right.
Right. Very true.
So I think it's I think what it is that we need to not worry about awkwardness.
Yeah.
Right. In the spirit of helpfulness and the intention of generosity.
Yeah.
Right. If your intentions are good and there's some awkwardness, then who cares? I have people who I'm like, what can I do for you? How can I help you? Right. And I can see the look on their face is, wow, what's this guy's ulterior motive?
Exactly.
He can't be this generous. He can't be
Exactly.
this nice and helpful.
Exactly.
And the fact of the matter is I am. And I will even say to him, hey, listen, I saw it on your face. It's okay. I don't want anything, right? I am here to help. I'm known as Mr. Generosity. I'm the father and founder of the Generosity Generation. I'm here to help. So how can I help you? What can I do for you? And so it's one of those where you might get some of that, but who cares, right? Who cares? There are people that Superman can't save, right? Because he doesn't know how to help them. And even if he did, they'd say, oh, you know what? Don't worry about it. Yeah. So, anyway.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. Getting over that awkward moment to hear how you can help that individual is well worth it. And like you said, I think everybody puts up their shields when they hear somebody genuinely reaching out and wanting to help. Be like, who are you? Like you said, what's your alternative motive? It's something to get over. But at the end of the day, who cares? If you're able to help that person because you asked a silly question, if they laugh it off and go, I got no goals or whatever, well, then, like you said, you can't help everybody, and you go on with your conversation and move on. But I believe that frog principle is really a nice way to allow people that are maybe not comfortable talking to other individuals. Yeah, breaking the ice. It's an easy concept to open the door to something great and awesome. So
it's a rapport builder. It's definitely a rapport builder. And I have to tell you, I am awkward in a 200, 250 room where I'm not going to be speaking, right? I don't have a role necessarily. Right, yeah. So I'm just there to network. So I imagine a little frog on their head, and that kind of makes me smile and kind of laugh, and it reminds me to go through, frog. And sometimes I start with O, sometimes I start with R, sometimes I start with F.
Sure.
But I have to tell you, I always end with G.
Okay. That's a great way to wrap it all around. Michael, honestly, these concepts are really powerful. There are so many more in your book that we don't have time for. It would probably be a 72-hour podcast marathon if we went through everything. But I truly, really enjoyed the book. I had to reach out to you and really hone in these few principles that we talked about. Even though there's two of them, I really believe they're game changers. It really kind of, I'm thinking of like 10 people that I really enjoyed speaking with that I should and now will complete a power letter to, because I want to build those relationships one step further. And I know that people listening out there, do what Michael said. Get out there and think of somebody you can write a letter to and send it out. You know what? If you don't hear anything from them, fine, no big deal. But I know that there's power in that letter that can really help yourself, and along the process help that individual too. So Michael, how can we get in touch with the book, get in touch with you? And I know you have something special coming up soon.
Yeah, so number one is we've covered 2 strategies out of the 108 that are in the book, right? We barely kind of touched on the 2, so there's tons there. So I'm going to go into more detail. I think the number one call to action is please go to facebook.com/referral guru. And that's first, right? Because then you can talk to me right after you listen to this, and I'm there at least twice a day to answer questions and help in any way that I can. The second thing is let's go into detail on some of the other concepts of 7L and the 7L system and the generosity generation. Interestingly enough, Jacob, this podcast is perfect, is because we have a free bonus webinar that is coming up, and domain is freebonuswebinar.com. It's free. Everybody who registers is going to get a $497 value, a $500 value, just for registering. That is a system that people are going to want to have. And so freebonuswebinar.com. Of course, you can get the book on Amazon or barnesandnoble.com, anywhere out there that you want. If you want to get it for a little bit less and you want me to sign it, you can go to michaeljmaher.com, and that's michaeljmaher.com. And Jake, I'm compelled to share one last thing.
Go ahead.
And I know that we're out of time, but I have to tell you, is bringing up Superman just really kind of lurched a thought in my head that we how how would you feel about Superman if you went over to his house and you went into his house and you saw Superman sitting there on the couch with his feet kicked up, and you knew all the world still had problems and had all kinds of things going on? How would you feel about Superman if you saw him there sitting there just kicking back?
I'd be pissed off. I'd be like, get out there, do your thing.
Yeah, yeah. Why would you be mad?
Because he has something a lot of people don't have. He has potential to save the world.
He has potential to save the world, right? And so I want every single one of your listeners to know something, right? I'm pissed off at you. I'm pissed off because you have a superpower that you're not using. And that superpower is love. And listen, I'm not a rah-rah guy. This is not fluff. This is not BS. Your superpower is love. But here's the thing. Love is just a superpower, right? It's like being able to fly, right? It's not flying. That's different than being able to fly. Love is potential, right? It's a superpower. Putting your superpower in action is called generosity. And I want you to know that you're acting in generosity, which is what we're talking about here, helping others achieve their goal. What that does is that generosity, first of all, feels good. And I have to tell you, any listener that's struggling with self-esteem, I've got the answer for you, right? Self-esteem is thinking about yourself, right? That's what self-esteem means, is what you think about yourself. Well, here's the thing, right? I've got the solution for you. Quit thinking about yourself. That's it. The solution is think about others. When you focus on others and you focus on helping others, what happens is dopamine kicks in your brain and you feel good and you feel good and you feel good because you help. And what happens is you start to feel and you start to know that you've got value, right? Value is the answer to confidence. The more value you feel like you bring, the more confident you are going to become. And that comes from helping people. And so what it is helping people is an act of generosity. So when you're helping them achieve their goals, not only is it good for them, but they're likely to reciprocate and help you achieve your goal. And you're going to do that by utilizing your superpower. So here's the deal. No more sitting on the couch. No more sitting behind the screen on Facebook just taking things in. No more sitting, watching the boob tube. Is go out to the world looking for the opportunity to be generous and look and go to things with the spirit of helpfulness instead of the spirit of what am I going to get from this, right? Like this podcast was not about Michael Mayer. This podcast is about Jacob, and this podcast is about getting better, right? So the bottom line is I was just compelled to go there.
No, that's awesome. And I think everything you spoke of is so true. And sometimes we get wrapped up with ourselves. But like the famous quote, numerous times throughout this our conversation, I could have said it, but Zig Ziglar says it best. The more you give, the more you'll receive. Or the more people you help, the more people will help you. It's a lot of power in this stuff.
You can have everything you want in life if you'll just help enough others get what they want.
Exactly. That's the quote I was looking for. I was totally stumbling on my tongue, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, I can't remember that quote to save my life. But yes, you nailed it on the head. That's the power of it right there. It is so, so true. Michael, thank you so much for coming on here. Your information is awesome, very powerful. I'll give all the links and all the things that we talked about today in the show notes, and I appreciate it, Michael. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. And once again, it's an honor and privilege. Thank you so much for what you're doing for your listeners and for your community. And thank you for having me on.
Thank you. So there you go, guys. Thank you so much to Michael J. Mayer for coming on the podcast. It's truly remarkable, the ideas that he has brought together to not only boost his business, but to boost his connections with people. I think there's a lot of value in the Power Note along with the Frog Principle. As you can tell in the interview, I enjoy both of them. So I'm not going to drag this out any longer than it needs to be. You guys continue what you're doing, either riding your bike, running, exercising, driving your car, taking your kids to soccer practice, whatever you're doing. I thank you for allowing me to be part of your journey every single week. Again, Operation Self Reset is published on Wednesdays along with Motivational Minutes on Monday. You guys truly rock, and the only thing I can suggest to you is send a power note to somebody that you want to connect with, or you feel that, man, that's a really interesting person I want to become better friends with. There's nothing wrong with sending a note. And if you don't hear a response, that's fine. But I know and I guarantee that the person receiving that note or letter will find great, great value within it. Guys, take care of yourselves. We'll talk to you next week, Wednesday, for another episode. Until then, keep on doing what you do best, improving yourself every single day, every single moment. And remember, if you want to find out more ways to reset your own personal life, head on over to osreset.com. And there you will find 6 high quality PDF files waiting for you to download and get yourself on the right track towards success. And success has many different definitions, but whatever success means to you, these PDFs will help you in that regard. Take care, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you again from the deepest valves of my heart. We'll see ya. Bye.